When it comes to financial education and literacy, it really does start with the family unit, and it does start at a very young age. Now, there's been a lot of studies throughout the years that have said like the 5 to 7 year olds have the greatest understanding or can be taught to really budget, to understand finances, to understand the concepts associated with money at a very young age. Today's video, we're going to be looking at the family budget and really the reason and the logic behind why you need a family budget. We're going to go through why you should have a family budget. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, of course, when it comes to a family budget, this is you, your wife, your spouse, your partner, whoever you may have, guys, including your children, or possibly if you have parents, grandparents that live in the household. Family budget is budgeting for everyone. That is really budgeting the money that is coming into the money that is going out, and really understanding the fine line of what people are spending, how they're spending it, and how they're utilizing or how they're actually contributing to this budget itself. Now, why should you have this budget, guys? Number one, you stop wondering really where your money went, and you know exactly what to do. Now, this, of course, when it comes to budgeting, is always one of my pet peeves. Majority of people don't have a budget, yet they live paycheck to paycheck. They don't know where their money is going. The budget is the tool that will kind of remedy that situation. When it comes to understanding how much money's coming in, how much money's going out, exactly what you have at the end of the week or the month, makes a big difference, guys. Now, number two, you can start getting everyone on the same page about money. Again, if you have an individual in the house that is a spender versus a saver, or if you're a saver, vice versa, or if you're both spenders, that can lead to catastrophe, guys. Honestly, when you think of divorce, when you think of separation, things of that nature, a lot of that strives and a lot of it comes from finances, and we see it all of the time. And also showing that it is not such a taboo topic, which we know in America, this is probably the number one place, guys, that nobody talks about finances. When it comes to family, even, brothers and sisters, when it comes to parents kind of shield and keep a lot of stuff from their kids, as well as the rest of the family unit. So setting up the family budget is really in 3 very easy steps. Number one, listing out your income. That is right, guys. This is everything, and this is everything on a monthly basis. So it can be from a job, it can be from a side hustle, garage sales, freelance, anything that you have, especially if you have irregular income. So we do see this with a lot of sales positions. We see this with a lot of, let's say, like hairstylists or servers, waitresses, waiters, things of that nature, bartenders. It is very irregular on how much money you kind of make week to week based on tips, based on the sales aspect. And also, you can kind of get a streamline or a baseline of where your income is going to be, and then it does kind of vary from there. Step number 2, listing out those expenses. That is right, guys. When you start with expenses, you are looking at the primary ones and really the needs. Those are the fixed expenses. Those are the ones we want you to cover first. When it comes to food, utility, rent, shelter, car, transportation, even looking at some of the expenses again, that kind of stay kind of stagnant. And again, once you start doing the budget and once you start doing it for a couple of months, you will see that a majority of months you're kind of spending almost the exact same thing or very similar when it comes to the expenses in there. And then, of course, when you look at some of the other things that are and can go into the monthly expenses that are insurance, debt payments, your savings, your entertainment, your dog costs. I always say this, guys, and I stress it when it comes to building a financial plan, is things that you love to do, put them in the budget. If you like going to the movies, if you like to go out on date nights, if you like vacations, regardless of what you like to do as far as entertainment, as far as personal expenses, make sure you put them in the budget. If they work with the budget, absolutely, guys, that should be a line item. If you like going to the movies twice a month, you're spending $100 a month because movies are expensive. Put it in the budget. That way you know it is allocated for. That way you know it is not going to be an unexpected expense that is going to pop up. And then, of course, the third one, income minus your expenses. That gives you every single dollar that you have left. Hopefully you have money left at that point, guys. Now, of course, if it is in the red, then you have to go reevaluate where exactly you're either going to, one, earn more income, make more money, overtime, side hustle. How are we going to generate more income? Or 2, it's going to be at the point where you have to cut the expenses, and just how far you are in the red means that depending on, again, where you're at, how much and how hard you're going to look at those expenses and start cutting out line items. Even if it is on a temporary basis, it'll make a really big difference, guys, when it comes to budgeting. Now, tips for creating the family budget, easy access for two people or the whole entire family unit. Keep it simple, keep it straightforward, guys, and also make it easy to track your spending, how you're doing this. We don't want you to get through the end of the month, try to kind of reconcile everything. Takes an incredible amount of time, or it's very, very complex. And then people end up not doing it, guys. You have to see the benefit, and you really have to, just like anything, you have to embrace it, and you have to embrace it for, give it 90 days, give it 6 months. Set a time frame that you're really going to embrace it. You're really going to worry about the self-improvement. When it comes to a lot of strategies, guys, when it's working out at the gym, when you want to learn something new, when you want to go back to school, a lot of people will focus on it, but when it comes to the financial aspect, I do not see people really focusing on it as much as they should. And in my opinion, guys, it's probably one of the most neglected things that I see. Now, of course, there has to be a starting point. So talking about today, what is happening and what is going on right now, what is falling into the wants and that needs category when it comes to the family budget, and also communicate with your kids to prioritize spending that has anything in relationship. And this is how you tie it into the family budget. We've talked a lot about budgeting before, but this is where you get the kids in the consideration and where you get the kids into the expenses. Now, of course, for this, it is going to be huge, and they have to really understand, again, at a young age, that things are prioritized or things are really associated with them. When you look at extracurricular activities, when you look at sports, when you look at clubs, when you have, piano lessons, dance lessons, there's a cost associated with it, not only the time aspect, but also the cost associated with it that I feel like they really need to understand. Now, I personally have a 9-year-old, and we have started, really explaining this and breaking it down, guys, where if she wants to play volleyball, it's $145 about every 90 days, which is a pretty good cost for classes. But then if my son wants to play football, if he wants to play, soccer, if he wants to do a bunch of these things, and then we pile swim on top of it, which is super expensive if you do a swim school like Goldfish, and then you add on, a couple expenses here and there, kids can really communicate, but kids can also see where it does add up and how it does work in the budget. Now, of course, this is going to be in collaboration, meaning you're going to spend dedicated time sitting down, not only mapping out kind of the budget, where the money is going, how can we make money, what are we going to use to pay off debt, what are we going to use to really fund that emergency, big purchases, and family fun experiences. That is right, guys. We love going to a house on the lake. That is going to be budgeted in there. We might break it out for 12 months if we're doing it once a year, but breaking down an expense, if it's $1,200 to go there, we can do $100 a month. That way, when it's ready to go on vacation, you know what? We're not borrowing anything for vacation. We already have the money set aside. The vacations are pre-planned. The vacations are prepaid as well, meaning that when it comes to that vacation expense, boom, we already have it. Now, this, of course, is going to work hand in hand when you start tracking your goal progression, knowing exactly, and it's pretty cool how you can do this, guys. We actually have a chart that is just like an old school bar graph where, hey, we're at this amount, we're at this amount, we're at this amount, we're at this amount. Once we hit the top of that, we know it is vacation time because it is fully funded and we know the money is set aside. Now, of course, on a monthly budget meeting or when you're sitting down with the family, you have to keep the open lines of communication between you and your kids, looking at all of the standard stuff you buy. And again, understanding what the cost is. You will find that your children, and mine included, are very, very disciplined when it comes to really using stuff, throwing it away, using less paper towels, using less different things around the house. It's interesting to see exactly how they kind of come in tune when you say, something is X amount of dollars. Do you know how long it takes, one, to make that money, but also if you're throwing it away and you're really just being neglectful or being wasteful with it, really. One of the big reasons, guys, kids have to learn this early. And of course, paying off debt is a priority. This is something that you cannot sneak around. This is something that you can't hide. We see a lot of people, and especially in my professional, my career, when we're sitting down and we're doing financial counseling, when you start seeing, credit reports and you find out that your spouse or your partner has an extra $7,000 in credit card debt, they have a little bit of debt here and there, they have some student loan debt. It's kind of crazy to think that that was hidden and that was actually something that was not talked about. Almost like a sneaky salesman or, someone who is trying to not really lie, but intentionally deceive with the amount of debt that they are using. Now, of course, for this, guys, I recommend the debt avalanche. That is the one that I do. I know it does take a little bit more timing and a little bit more effort when it comes to paying off that debt. But overall, guys, if you want the most bang for your buck, paying it off with the avalanche method, so actually listing your very highest interest rate as your number one, that is your target. That is your goal. Just like Call of Duty, guys, your sniper scope is keyed right in, and you are going to knock every single penny is going to go straight to that debt until that one is gone, and then your next highest interest rate, so on and so forth, until it is completely gone. And of course, with this, guys, tracking the expenses through the month, this makes it a lot less tedious when it comes to the budgeting meetings, where if you're just doing a quick little check-in, let's say every week, you kind of validate and double check, not only one, that the transactions are done completely, that the right amount was charged, that there's nothing that is kind of sneaking under the radar that you're not seeing or not realizing you're being charged for. And a lot of times we see this with subscription services, that it's just kind of reoccurring, and it does come up, and it comes up very quick. But if you do this on a weekly basis, when you get to the monthly point, it makes it very, very easy because everything's already in there and you know exactly what is there. And then, of course, guys, we get into adjusting your budget when it is needed. If there is an unexpected expense, we know the emergency fund is going to be there because that is one of the priorities. Once you eliminate out that debt and the debt is completely gone, and what you're planning, again, you can really break it down systematically so they know exactly what they're working on. And the final one, guys, that we're done is having your kids work on commission, not working on getting a getting paid, kind of the chores aspect. Now, I grew up, and I think this is probably one of my absolute favorite things, guys, is I grew up and there were chores. It was literally checklists or buckets that I had to do, where I had to take out the garbage, you had to mow the grass, you had to shovel the snow. Doing the chores is a little bit different, where if I mow the grass, you get $5. If I, shovel the snow, you get $10. Doing chores are a little bit different than working on commission. So what you could do, and again, I like exactly how this works because it gives you really real life examples, is if you want them to, let's say, again, using the reference of cutting the grass, I'm going to pay you $10 to cut the grass. If you get the full $10, it is based on commission. It is based on how much time and effort that you put into the work. If the quality is not there, if you're missing spots, if there's things that are wrong with how it is completed, you can minus from that $10. So let's say they do a subpar job, all of a sudden they're getting $4, not the $10 for doing the chores. And again, I really like this because you can hold them accountable. And again, at a very young age, guys, it is really going to strive them to work better to make sure it's completed because they have the incentive or they have the commission behind it, where if I do the job and if I do the job well, it will give me the full $10. Now, this, of course, is going to create the connection with the value of money, with the hard work they're doing. It is going to create the connection, which again, I feel like a lot of people are completely missing when it comes to actually doing a job and doing a job very well and getting rewarded for doing that job very well, which again, in my opinion, guys, really revolves and starts at the family unit before kids even get to the point of, having a summer job, getting into, 16 years old, working a job. Really knowing and doing well in a job, setting them up for success really early makes a big difference. And the final one, guys, don't be afraid to talk about money. This, again, is kind of crazy. It says that roughly 28% of parents ever have a conversation with their children about money. That is insane, guys, when you think about that. And again, thinking of myself, thinking of my wife, when I was little, my parents never said a word about money. There was literally nothing that was ever said when it comes to the budgeting, when it comes to the balancing, when it comes to, having a plan of action, a plan to repay debt, how to get a car, doing a loan. Everything that I've had was kind of self-taught. I actually started budgeting a checkbook about 12 years old, which is kind of crazy. I know it's incredibly young. And then getting into the financial industry, doing the financial counseling, I really seen, and I came from a place where nothing was budgeted, nothing was planned for, nothing was actually set aside, never an emergency fund, always fire when it came to anything, when it came to money, even when it came to the wants, guys, not having the ability to cover any of those, or just kind of borrowing from one place to essentially put it to another place. Very, very tough to see. And again, if I felt like, and if I really thought back, if I had a better baseline when it came to finances, might have been an entirely different situation when it comes to investing, when it comes to money, and when it comes to the relationship. So, all right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.